Where the video games? Where my video? I can't breathe.
Hello and welcome to the show, people. We're getting ready for the Capcom conference, which is starting in about just under 15 minutes now. Capcom, a beloved developer, one I really certainly do like. Welcome, people. Feel free to put your predictions in the chat as we talk about what I think is going to happen, or what I'd like to see at least. Because Capcom have, the storied history, they probably have some of the best IP outside of like your big big car people like Nintendo. So the best like sort of third party IP. We're seeing a lot of Resident Evil stuff at the moment because Resident Evil Village just came out about a month ago. Was it now? It was just about a month ago. And yeah, now they're back. They've actually got a conference, so I reckon they'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, how well that sold, which I think it sold pretty damn well. 7, I think, is currently their best-selling Resident Evil. Maybe it'll surpass that in a few months' time or a year's or two time. So I'm imagining we're going to see some Resident Evil DLC. I imagine, yeah, some Resident Evil 8 DLC for this. Because they've not announced any post-game plans. 7 had a bunch. Resident Evil 2 and 3 didn't, obviously, because they were remakes of all the games. But I won't see why we wouldn't get some DLC, some side story content in terms of like, maybe set 100 years ago or something when when Lady Dimitrescu was just taking over the castle or something like that. But a lot of people do like her, don't they? So it won't surprise if we don't see more DLC based around her, as an example. But yeah, I imagine we'll see that as one of the things coming up for sure. What else will we see? Do put your predictions in the chat. I'd like to hear what you'd see from this. Oh, Resident Evil 4. So obviously there is a Resident Evil 4 remake in the works. We know that that's all but official. Rumors like 2023, I think, or maybe 2022. So it's a while away. So if they show it, don't expect it anytime soon. That's for sure. I know obviously it switched over developers as well. It was switched from one internal team to another because it was the guys who were making the Resident Evil 3 remake were originally making that Resident Evil 4 remake, and Capcom were not happy with the direction they were going because they were being more faithful after people being quite unhappy with how Resident Evil 3 remake turned out. Ultimately, a very short game, missing lots of stuff that made Resident Evil 3 really cool, unfortunately. So yeah, I'd expect that to be even delayed, maybe, yeah, at least till 2023 at this rate, that's for sure. Whether we'll see any more Resident Evil stuff, that's a interesting question. Being also a big Capcom fan, I'm a big fan of Mega Man, so I'd like to see some more Mega Man stuff. To release all the sort of legacy collections of the original games, the Mega Man X series games, even the Mega Man ZX games. The only thing they've not re-released is obviously the Battle Network stuff, which I'm not that interested in. It doesn't play like a Mega Man game per se. And the Mega Man Legacy stuff, so that's your Mega Man Legacy 1 and 2 and Misadventures of Trombone. Obviously there was a Mega Man Legends 3 in the works at some point for 3DS, and that got shit-canned after Shinji Mikami left. Doubt we will ever see that. Street Fighter 5 is obviously still in the works, and I think they've still got some DLC characters to announce at this point. I'm not too sure. Like, I know, was it Oro, the last character they released, or is he still being released? Maybe he's not out fully yet. So I'd expect to see something from that. That's for sure. And then I imagine, yeah, new character, something, maybe a crossover character if we're lucky with another Capcom game or something like that. They've also released Monster Hunter Rise recently. I know that's just recently had its latest patch update. But maybe we'll get some information on what's coming in the future, days and weeks and months ahead. What other content they're working on. Because they've just released I think it was the Monster Hunter Generations final boss into Monster Hunter Rise, or Generations Double Cross, whatever it is. Get pretty ridiculous names, some of them, into Monster Hunter Rise, which is something I've yet to play, and I've yet to play the previous patch update as well. I think I'm a couple of patches behind in terms of content, so I'd like to go back to that myself. Again, it's I did keep quite up with Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Iceborne somewhat, or the most ridiculous scene we got on the screen there. What's his name? Darius or something. He turns into a T-Rex, or David or something. Yeah, he turns into a T-Rex. It's a pretty ridiculous game. Resident Evil 6, but Resident Evil 7 obviously a bit big of a change. Well, big change or return to survival horror. We've got Resident Evil 8 that just came out, which was a semi-survival horror, a bit more actiony. But yeah, so again, Capcom have a history past, so we've got lots of different stuff. A dream game. This is obviously, I'm pushing it. I'd love to see a return of Dino Crisis, be it Dino Crisis 4, or more than likely a Dino Crisis remaster if we were to get anything sort of remake of the first one, probably in the style of something like a Resident Evil 2 remake. My bet is, so we'll see about that, but I wouldn't hold my breath for sure. But just gonna put a bit of this audio on for you all, and I'm just gonna quickly get a drink because I need to. I've been talking for the last few days quite a bit, and yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to hear that just now, and have a listen to this while I quickly go get a drink.
Mansion filled with puzzles and backtracking, tropes that hadn't been seen in mainstream AAA games for decades at this point. But after 7's success, those very elements of backtracking, item searching, and exploration came back full force in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Resident Evil 2 Remake was a no-holds-barred representation of what classic Resident Evil exploration and inventory management was, but built into the modern age, and now making a grander, more expansive return in Village. Lastly, we need to talk about Resident Evil lore, because Village is just bursting at the seams with it. In the final hours of the game, it is revealed that the main villain Mother Miranda's existence recontextualizes the
7 minutes to go.
Franchise. But no other game has made a similar contribution other than Code Veronica.
We're talking about Code Veronica now. I would certainly love a Code Veronica remake, because Code Veronica is probably one of the, I won't say worst Resident Evil games, but it certainly has a ton of issues. It's one that deserves a remake. I don't see the point in remaking something like Resident Evil 4, which has aged pretty damn well, compared to something like Code Veronica, which hasn't, unfortunately, even back for its time when it came out. Wasn't a great game, but I very much doubt that. Obviously, Resident Evil Reverse, that was supposed to come out alongside Resident Evil 8. That's the very silly multiplayer game. I think I can actually redeem it and download it, but I don't think it is currently playable yet. They didn't announce an official release date for it, so I imagine we'll get a release date and be like, hey, it's out now, or hey, it's out in a week or two. Resident Evil Reverse, because I know people weren't happy with the beta playing it, unless they're doing a big overhaul of it, but I very much doubt that. Any people in chat who've obviously played Resident Evil 8, do tell us what you felt about that game as well. Well, I'm happy to talk about how well Resident Evil's doing at the moment, which is pretty damn good. I'd like to see obviously a new Capcom fighting game. You know what I mean? Ultimate Marvel vs Capcom 3 is an amazing game. I'd love to see a new one. That we got that Marvel Infinite. What was it? Ultimate Marvel Infinite. What was it called? Marvel vs Capcom Infinite, which unfortunately wasn't very good. It'd be nice to see a proper sequel to that, but I doubt they're working with Marvel at the moment. But yeah, I'd like to see a new fighting game that just isn't Street Fighter. And then obviously it was that Pragmata that got announced about a year or so ago, didn't it? Remember that game was a spaceman and he was on Earth, and there was a satellite crashing through the sort of fake Earth, and he's flying through space with like a little robot girl, and he was this like green netting on the space satellite, and then he's fully in space. And the little girl was able to talk to him through space and stuff without any oxygen, so that was really cool and trippy. So I want to see more of that. Did remind me a lot of sort of a Kojima game or a Death Stranding, that's for sure. So I'd like to see a lot more of that. I think what else Capcom could we see? An Okami, very unlikely a new Okami game, but they did do that that part. Was it about 2-3 years ago? And yeah, that was really cool. Oh, you can see here's the title update number 3 for Monster Hunter. This is the one I'm yet to play. Yeah, here's this massive boss monster that we saw. So, God, what is it called? Crimson Glow Valstrax. So, yes, he's not even just regular Valstrax, it's a sort of modified, even more powerful version. It is. And yeah, it can fly around like a jet engine pretty much in the sky, and then does lots of crazy stuff. But yeah, I want to fight as monsters. I've not had a chance. And then we've got all the Apex monsters as well, which you can fight as. a sort of weird raid area, or just as normal monsters by themselves now. I get to fight any of that sort of stuff. Yeah, Adam Cook, you're right. Infinite did suck. Again, it'd be a dream to get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4, or even just like Marvel vs. Capcom style game, and just switch out some of the other characters from Marvel characters. You know what I mean? You know, map for like Capcom versus Capcom or something, or obviously I had Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which kind of kicked off the revival of Marvel vs. Capcom. There was a lot of sort of synergy there between them two, but yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom is making a comeback apparently in the scene, which is cool. I know that there was a sort of somewhat big tournament like a few months ago, or maybe even 6 months ago, and I know it was like quite a biggish prize pool, so it'd be nice for that to come back. But I wouldn't hold my breath. You know, in Disney are awkward, and I think there's kind of very soured the relationship after Infinite, unfortunately. But yeah, nice to see another hyper fighter from Capcom. Let's just say that, a hyper fighter, rather than just a sort of regular fighting game like your Street Fighter 5s, which are still very cool games and stuff. But we've not seen a Darkstalkers game in a while, and I doubt we ever will. There was that revival that was happening years and years ago, but I wouldn't hold my breath out for that. That's for sure. Just under 3 minutes to go now, people. Under 3 minutes to go, and I think this is a little development diary about what they were doing for Resident Evil 8. But it did take like almost 5 years to come out. No, it didn't. 2017, 18. No, it did take only 4, so it sort of extended 4-year dev cycle. Yeah, again, I'm gonna see probably some Resident Evil 8's related stuff, DLC. I'd love a VR mode, but I think that's gonna probably come out with like some PSVR 2 or something. So I won't expect to see that for another year. TNS started a tourney again a couple of weeks ago. Nobody's holding their breath for a new one. That's any good. Honestly, if you want your hyper fighters, there's a few alternatives. There's certainly not Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate, but you've got your Dragon Ball Fighters, which is just recently. I think it's kind of coming to the end of its support for characters and stuff, but it's been getting 3 years of support so far. And then you've got your bloody Power Rangers game, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, a very budget hyper fighter, but they even added Street Fighter characters into that. So that's, you're looking for a hyper fighter. There's a few out there, and that game does have it has rollback netcode and cross play across all platforms, like several different platforms. I mean, PCs, your Nintendo Switch, your PS4, PS5, your Xboxes and stuff like that. So it's several different consoles all come together cross play. So that seems to have a somewhat healthy community, and I know that has a tournament scene as well. But yeah, no Darkstalkers. I think that's as cool as that'd be. I don't think there's space for it at the moment, and yeah, unfortunately. So obviously, Capcom have a lot of sort of IPs that have died or gone to wayside, like stuff like Lost Planet. I don't think we'll ever see a Lost Planet game again, at least for a long, long, long time. But it'd be nice for something like that to come along, or something. Yeah, because I think like the first two were pretty cool. Adam Cook saying there's nothing anyway as good as none of them. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, Marvel is very much king. But it's not saying there couldn't be another similar game to at least keep people happy for a bit. But we're getting but from Capcom, I don't see him making it anytime soon. But yeah, let's bring in the audio because we've got like 20 seconds to go.
ただ、
That's a bit too
エッジ
loud.
の場合はもう時期が時期
There we go, and I'll bring it
もう
down.
かなり
in a
追い
sec.
込みの時期に入っているタイミングというのもあり相当やっぱりこれは反発食らうんじゃないかなと、
まあ焦ってましたけどね、多分焦ってたと思います、まさ
There
か
we
この
go.
タイミングでこんなこと
Tell us how the levels sound anyway,
こ
people.
れ直さな本当にあかんのか今でも
Oh, and a straight hard cut to it. But yeah, Capcom Battle Royale. Oh God, please don't. They could do it. They've got, a lot of. They've got some of the most amount of characters and creative IP, and any third party. They could do something like that. Oh, slick Capcom logo. I reckon I'm going to adjust all the levels now because it's gone right down.
Welcome to the Capcom
Yeah, bring it
E3
all up.
Showcase. I'm your
There
host,
we go.
Rachel Querico, aka Seltzer, and I'll be your
Oh,
guide
you've got the Great
as
Ace
we walk
Attorney
through the
Chronicles
latest
coming out soon.
releases, news, and updates from Capcom. We'll hear
Latest
from the
releases, news, and
Resident Evil
updates. Some
Village
nothing-
team, share some news from the world of Monster Hunter, and get the latest on Ace Attorney.
So
Then
nothing
we'll wrap
new.
up with some updates from our friends
Yeah,
at Capcom Fighters. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Our first stop today, Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, we
The
know
Resident
what it's
Evil
sold.
franchise continues to pioneer the latest and greatest in survival horror.
Can we have something new,
The
please?
team has been blown away by the response to Resident Evil Village, which launched last month. It brought the world another chapter in this decades-long story as the franchise celebrates its 25th anniversary this
Big
year.
ass TV though.
I'm honored to be able to introduce Tsuyoshi Kanda, producer on Resident Evil Village, with a special message for the fans.
Special missions are cool and all, but can you show us like some new DLC or
Another
something
time.
cool extra?
Bye-bye.
There's nothing to fear.
Rose! She's everything to me.
I think it's time you left things in my hands.
Somewhat semi-spoilers for a game that's relatively new. Oh god, the big spoiler.
Hi everyone, my name is Tsuyoshi Kanda, producer on Resident Evil Village. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone who's played since we launched the game in May. We hope you're enjoying this new chapter in survival horror. As a reminder, everyone who purchases Resident Evil Village will gain free access to our online multiplayer title, Resident Evil R-Reverse.
When's that coming
Where
out?
players go head-to-head with their favorite Resident Evil heroes and bioweapons. I'm now happy to announce that Resident Evil R-Reverse will go live next month
Okay.
across all supported platforms. So head into the fray to celebrate the Resident Evil 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that Resident Evil Reverse looks a bit naff. Or at least the bit I played it, I was like, Jesus, in the bit, it was really not great. Even when the servers were. Ooh. There we go. So additional DLC, of course. Cool.
Thank you, Kanda-san, for that wonderful
Must be
update.
early then, though.
Next up, some long-awaited news from the world of Monster Hunter. Whether
these
it's
are very quick.
adventuring alongside monsters or battling them with friends, we've got something for you. First, let's dive into
Wings
the
of Ruin,
brand new
okay.
story-based RPG entry to the series, Monster Hunter
out
Stories
next
2,
month, I think.
Wings of Ruin.
This is basically the Pokemon version of Monster Hunter for kids and stuff.
This was
I
his
don't
fate.
believe your tears.
Red may have been strong and skilled, but against the awesome power of nature, he was merely a man. He never stood a chance.
All around, things just kept getting worse. But I heard that Guardian Ratha had survived and returned to Hekola Island.
Yeah, you got basically
I went
tame
there to
monsters
see
and you
that
can
old
use them in
monster again.
turn-based battles and stuff.
Then, of course, that's when I met you.
You were given Red's kinship stone, and
I'd be
now
tempted to play it a
Arathos
little
egg.
bit, but I've
This
got my
is
hands full with
destiny.
regular last Monster Hunter, which is way better than this, I imagine.
This is the legendary monster, Ray's Wing Ratha, the monster with the wings of ruin.
It's said that a beat of its wings can bring about waves of destruction.
Many people believe there's a connection between the strange happenings and the wings of ruin. The pits are appearing everywhere, and they're emitting a strange light.
Ruffian. Oh, you can attack with people as well, so it's not just monsters. There you go, RPG numbers.
What's this whole idea of forming kinship with monsters? How do you control them?
It's not about control. Monsters help riders of their own will. And the bonds between monsters and riders are just like your bond with Tsukino.
Got a nuclear man, blow everything up.
What kind of power does Ratha really have? Why are all of these pits appearing? And who are those people who want to take Ratha for themselves?
They're the hunters.
All I have are questions.
If there's worry or doubt in your voice, Ratha will become anxious too. He needs to know that you will protect him no matter what.
I can sense the flames of his life force weakening. The burden of such great power is too much for his body to bear.
A voice. Can you hear it?
Riders can bond with monsters. Surely you can groove with fellow humans.
They have the power of kinship. They're friends. They're monsties. Humans carry the strength of everyone they meet. That makes them strong.
That's a fat cat.
My friends here taught me that.
The eye patch.
I believe in the strength
I
of
think the
humanity.
guy in the white hair is the main character from the first game or something. Yeah. I mean, we rather stick to me called Monster Hunter than these spin-offs, but maybe give it a try at one point. I didn't even bother with the first one though. I skipped that one completely. Hey, there you go. Palamutes. Well, class them as monsters then, rather than trial version available June 25th. Okay, let's give it a try. I got bullshit. Even more plastic bullshit this time. This is the interesting stuff where you get the crossover armor. July 9th.
Looks pretty epic, right? And how about that announcement? The canine companion Palamute from Monster Hunter Rise will be joining Monster Hunter Stories 2 as one of the new monsties in the first free title update coming soon after the game's release. You can get an early peek at the game with the Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin trial version starting on June 25th, which also carries your progress over to the full game release just a few weeks later on July 9th. That's not the only way to join the hunt. Millions of you made Monster Hunter Rise a huge success earlier this year, and we have even more content coming, including a new collaboration on the Rise.
Ooh.
Let's find out more.
Sick. Yeah, this is more interesting. I think it's an internal Capcom collaboration though.
Let's go!
And not an external one. Way harder to do. June and July. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've seen this bit.
Rathalos is no runt. Moon's blessing emerged.
Yeah, you got this cat
Ready?
is Rise.
I
Cool.
have a good feeling. What will it be? Moon's blessing emerged.
This game is technically impressive though, but not gonna Rise yet. It's for running on Switch, man. Yeah, pause and all that stuff. Cool. Well, here we go. Here's the extra shit. New stuff. Sweet. Tons of event quest, man. Lead Blossom. Nice. It's a reward as well. Shadow Shades, yeah. Paid content, yeah. All cosmetics.
Hamura is like my second home.
You think you can take on Rondine?
June 24th. And then July, and then end of July is version 2, yeah, 3.2. So that's the second Capcom collab.
There has never been a better time to be a Monster Hunter fan. With all the
Good
new
time to be a
updates to
Monster
Monster
fan, that's
Hunter Rise and the launch of Monster Hunter Stories 2 this summer. We can't wait to hear about your own stories of adventure. Well, that's not the only thing Capcom has in store for us this July.
Ooh.
Fans of Phoenix Wright will have new chapters to explore with the release of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. North American and European future attorneys will finally be able to get their hands on the Great Ace Attorney Adventures and the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, which were previously only available in Japan. You'll travel back in time to the late 19th century
barely
Japan
even like
and
play the
London
first trilogy
to
again.
play as Ryunosuke Naruhodo, Phoenix Wright's ancestor, in this action-packed prequel. Now let's hear more about the story.
So then, let us unravel this mystery.
Objection.
Welcome to the center of the world. Great
England.
Britain's mighty capital, London.
This country is incredible. I will become a lawyer. I have to.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Who are you? Herlock Sholmes.
Herlock Sholmes, oh god.
We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san.
Let us engage in the art of deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. Well,
Cool, man.
what have we here?
Is it going to get a physical release, I wonder?
It would seem the truth is now tantalizingly close.
The defense demands its right to a cross-examination.
Yeah, I think it was with 3DS games originally.
Objection! Your testimony completely contradicts the facts.
Objection! My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage!
Wind scales.
You're the best lawyer in the world.
Cool.
So we have 10 new cases and 8 mini escapades where you can take on the role of a defense attorney. Now, we all want to see some gameplay, right? Let's take a closer first look at 2 gameplay features new to the franchise in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles: Dance of Deduction and Summation Examination.
Hello, I'm Jonathan, Capcom's marketing brand manager for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
Where to?
The Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
The Capcom team is thrilled to present 2 new gameplay features, Dance of Deduction and Summation Examination, coming to the Ace Attorney series.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see it really new. Maybe one thing at the end, but this is, yeah. Oh shit, we know, man.
While investigating to prove
You
your
don't need a
client's
stream for this
innocence,
shit, really.
players will come across conspicuous
some trails, man.
situations that require further examination with the help of Ryunosuke's legal aid Susato and the brilliance of deduction from Detective Herlock.
Ah, it's the Russians. It's always the Russians.
Herlock will proceed to present his logic and reasoning spectacular, a grandiose yet flawed series of conjectures.
You are the man with the beard.
Ryunosuke and Susato will then discuss to correct the flaws in Herlock's deductions. At this point, players will be prompted to search for clues that help identify the errors in the detective's logic and reveal the truth to the mystery. As players present new evidence and observations, Herlock will amend his deductions based on the new information. Upon uncovering the truth, Ryunosuke and Herlock enter into a semi-metaphorical, semi-literal dance that brings them to the conclusion of the dance of
Dance
deduction.
if you want to win.
In courtroom battles, players will attempt to convince 6 jurors of the innocence of their client. Their progress will be displayed and represented by 2 scales of justice, one black, representing a guilty verdict, and one white, representing a not guilty verdict.
Objection!
In summation examination, take the stand to face off against the jurors, all of whom provide explanations as to why they've reached their guilty verdict.
You'll have to identify conflicting statements and sway the jury in your favor. Examine each statement carefully and select 2 contradicting jurors to call out the flaws in their logic.
I need to do some research on, like, is this the best place to start? Obviously it's a pretty cool standalone thing, but is this the best place to start? And how can I get the original trilogy easily? No, I want a physical copy if possible as well.
Be ready to provide evidence from the court record to help prove the contradiction in their claims. When you successfully point out one of these contradictions among the jurors, you might just change their minds, too. With a slam of their fist, each juror you persuade will send a fiery ball towards the scales above and literally tip the scales of justice in your favor. Bring each contradiction to light and persuade the jury to help prove your client's innocence.
Objection! My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage!
This has just been a small taste of the exciting new gameplay features in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We are very excited to get this game in the hands of both new fans and diehard fans alike.
Cool.
Thanks for watching.
It already seems like I have a bunch of games to catch up on. There are some exciting new adventures and titles to look forward to.
Ooh.
Well, that's a look at the new premieres from Capcom.
Ooh,
but what
new
about
games.
esports?
Ugh.
Let's close out today's showcase with a few
Oh,
words
so
from
not
2 of the
fucking
stars
new.
of Capcom fighters,
Right, it's a new
Rob
fighter.
TV and Vicious. They'll tell us what's been going on with Capcom esports, including updates on the Capcom
bruh.
Pro Tour,
Waste my
Intel
time
World Open,
again.
Street Fighter League, and all the other content on Capcom Fighters. Over to you guys.
Bruh. What an absolute waste.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Capcom esports presentation for E3 2021. My name is Vicious, commentator for the Capcom Pro Tour as well as Street Fighter League, here with competitive Street Fighter V player and host extraordinaire, Hollywood, Rob TV. What's going on, Rob?
Oh my goodness, Vicious. Host extraordinaire. That just sounds beautiful. It has a ring to it. And I think that's the perfect word to describe what we have for everyone today. Street Fighter V, Capcom E3. It just feels right and you feel the electricity in the air.
Street Fighter character, please.
Nice! What? That was nasty. And there might be some people at home, Vicious, who don't fully know what competitive Street Fighter V is. The long and the short of it is this. We travel all around the world, state to state, country to country, and we try to bring
this year or last year, you don't.
from 100 all the way down to 0 and feel pretty goddamn good doing it.
That's right, Rob. If you think you're the best in your region, sign up for
Capcom Pro Tour to prove it and become possibly a world champion at Street Fighter V.
The double perfect, the way he looked at the camera.
Yikes! Don't ever expect another man's controller.
So in this year's CPT overall, it's a series of tournaments that have $5,000 on the line for each tournament, but that money alone, that's not what's really at stake here. It's about making it to the granddaddy of them all, Capcom Cup.
Item just resetting grand finals of Capcom Cup.
So behind me, you can see in all of its glory, the Capcom Pro Tour
you see some Red Bulls.
2021 official stage and set, and that's a place that you are very, very familiar with.
That's right, we take all of our events and broadcast it live from this stage, and we check out all of the top competitors from each and every one of these regions. And speaking of, the Capcom Pro Tour has shaped up a lot. 2021, we have 32 events going on in the Capcom Pro Tour, spanning across 19 different territories. So there's so many opportunities for players from around the world to get that ticket into Capcom Cup this season. I'm absolutely excited because, again, that is a big change from what 2020 was into what we could expect for 2021.
And Mago is your first qualifier for Japan for the Capcom Pro Tour.
Not only can you catch the Capcom Pro Tour live on the Capcom Fighters channel, you can do so on a plethora of platforms. We have it on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Of course, if you don't catch it live, you can also check out the VODs for all the competitive studying you would need to become a successful Street Fighter V player,
show me
as
some
well
new,
as catching
please.
some of the community-focused content that we have on Capcom Fighters. We have No Neutral, the official pre-show of the Capcom Pro Tour. We have sets where we take players from around the world and play off in an exhibition first to 10. Not only that, actually, we do have Street Fighter League that's happened season after season, non-stop action, 6 teams of 3, duke it out in this battle tournament series to see who will walk away with the championship and the $150,000 prize pool.
Street Fighter League is something that you don't want to miss because normally we only have 1v1 content. But now you actually have your teammates at your back, and every decision that you make is not just about you anymore.
Look for more news on Street Fighter League later this year.
That's what makes fighting games different, man. 1v1. Fuck teams, man.
What's happening?
It's so good.
Let's not forget, the Intel World Opening is happening right now. Top players representing 11 regions around the world are competing for their place in the World Finals happening next month. Be sure to check out the official website for more information, including current standings and broadcast schedules.
To commemorate this event, everyone who logged in during this period will receive an exclusive competitor title and dojo object. You do not want to miss this.
I highly recommend everyone to stay tuned for future Capcom Pro Tour updates on the Capcom Fighters channel.
And again, we've had so many events so far. We started off with the Japan region. We've had a couple of more events going on afterwards, but the action does not stop. In fact, we're going to be continuing off with the Midwest region for the Capcom Pro Tour. I know you're definitely excited about that.
100%. I mean, of course, your boy is from Ohio. Make sure you guys tune in to see the tournament.
You do not want to miss some of the best Street Fighter V players in the world compete head-to-head.
So it's you. I dare you to find better Street Fighter. I dare you.
This is a game about being a world warrior. Capcom Cup tournament play.
No new characters to show, please.
I'm the best in the world.
This game has changed the lives of
fighters
so
or
many
anything?
people here.
Come on, man.
Nice. Oh, the pop-off! That's what I'm talking about.
I told you it's gonna go to the limit, and I ain't lying to the people.
This is the ultimate Street Fighter V experience. This is Capcom Pro Tour.
19th of 20th June stream, okay.
Thanks, guys. It's been a really exciting season so far, and I can't wait to see how this plays out on the road to Capcom Cup. Remember to check out Capcom Fighters' Twitch and YouTube channels for more information and to watch the latest matches. So that's a wrap for Capcom at E3 this year. Let's recap what we all saw. Resident Evil Village is back with the latest installment of the survival horror experience and RE-Verse as part of the franchise's 25th anniversary. We have new adventures to embark on in the world of Monster Hunter
is out
with
already?
Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of
No one's out
Ruin,
next month.
and Monster Hunter Rise. And don't forget to go back in time with the great Ace Attorney Chronicles to tap into the family history of Phoenix Wright and solve new cases. Finally, don't miss out on the esports fun. Make sure you catch the latest matches with Capcom Fighters.
For this.
There really is something for everyone here today. But don't go anywhere yet. Join the conversation on
No,
Twitter
I'm
and make
gone.
sure you check out the Capcom virtual booth on the E3 portal to watch all these videos again and more.
Nah.
I'm Rachel Querico, aka Seltzer. Thank you for being part of the Capcom experience at E3 this year.
That was so bad, man. That's absolute waste. Hopefully Nintendo's tomorrow, obviously, is their proper event, so that'll be at least half decent. What a fucking waste, man. Absolute waste of time. Oh, Capcom are like so good. This one, man, well, yesterday as well, man. It's like, people just doing these streams for the sake of it, feels like. Like, there's no reason. I mean, some are amazing and some are just absolute pointless dog shit. So yeah. Fuck that. What an absolute mess. Pointless stream. Thank you anyway for coming to watch, people. Hopefully my predictions were more interesting than what they had to offer. We'll end it now, and we'll be back tomorrow. I think like 4:30 PM for the Nintendo one, which will definitely be way better than that.